He called me Barren, signed the papers, and walked away like I was a broken appliance. 7 years later, I walked into his new wife's baby shower with 3 little girls holding my hands. Tell me this. Is that revenge or is that survival? The invitation showed up like a dare-heavy cream cardstock, with my maiden name in gold curls, as if those years I spent rebuilding myself never happened. Sergey and Belinda cordially invite you. My stomach did a slow roll while my fingers traced the letters like they were knives. That one word he used to brand me, barren, came back with a smell and a temperature, and I swear I could hear the old quiet in that house where I learned not to ask for anything. Tiny footsteps, then 3 small faces in the doorway. Ava, my fearless oldest by 10 minutes, reading me like a book. Nani the watcher taking the room apart with those serious eyes. Naomi Sunshine on legs already hunting for a way to make me laugh. "Mama, why are you crying?" Ava asked. I did the classic mom lie. Dust. Just dust. Even though dust doesn't make your heart become a fist. Tom came home, tie loosened, that good tired in his shoulders, and I handed him the invite. He read it once, jaw tightening the way it does when he's drawing a line he plans to hold. 7 years of nothing, and he invites you to a baby shower. It feels like a test, I said. Or a trap. Both, probably. Tom rested his hands on my shoulders, steady, warm, not a rescue, a reminder. You don't have to go. I looked past him to the 3 small miracles we fought like hell to meet, and the truth in my desk drawer that weighed more than paper. I'm going, I said, and I'm taking the girls. Then we go, he said, simple as a door opening. But promise me we leave together, all of us. I promised, and I meant it even while fear sketched new cracks under my ribs. Quick rewind, because you should know how a woman stamped barren ends up buckling 3 car seats. After the divorce, I sat in a grief circle that smelled like vanilla candles in rooms where people cry. I didn't talk for 3 months. On the day I was brave enough to look up, I saw him across the circle. Brown eyes, work-worn hands, voice that didn't perform. I lost my wife 2 years ago yesterday, Tom said. He didn't sound like a man asking for pity. He sounded like a man learning how to breathe again. After group, he walked beside me to the parking lot. Late sun doing that forgiving thing it does. I told him the headline, "My ex called me broken," and I believed him. He shook his head slowly, like he was moving a heavy truth from one place to another. Broken doesn't mean worthless. Sometimes broken things heal stronger. You know what I mean? That line cracked something open inside me. Coffee, not a date. Walks that taught us how to be quiet without being scared. Phone calls that went long because silence with the right person is a kind of music. 18 months later, I said the wildest sentence I could think of. I want to try fertility treatments. Tom didn't blink. If you want that, I'm with you. If it doesn't happen, I'm with you there too. Yeah, that happened. It was needles and calendars and hope that ran ahead of us and then collapsed in the road. Then a phone call. The good doctor voice trying to be calm and failing. You're pregnant with 3. I cried the kind of cry that makes your body shake. Tom pressed his forehead to mine and cried too, and we got married in his backyard. Roses whispering from a life that came before me, vows that didn't promise perfection, just presence. Ava came out first, tiny and fierce. Nani followed quiet and watchful. Naomi waited, then arrived like a punchline. Tom cut 3 chords with shaky hands and hasn't stopped showing up since. Flash forward to the Ashworth Country Club, the kind of place where money whispers and everyone else is expected to pretend they were born hearing it. Georgian brick manicured hedges that look like Graff's air that smells like gardenias and judgment. I used to glide through those doors as a perfect accessory to a perfect man, the kind of performance that leaves bruises you can't photograph. This time I walked in holding 3 small hands and Tom steady at my back. The party had that expensive, quiet glasses clinking soft, so nothing ever sounds like need. Heads turned in waves, then a ripple of whispers like the ocean pulling away. We were 10 steps in when I spotted him. Sergei. Same jaw, a little silver at the temples, now posture that sells control to people who don't know the price. Our eyes met, he froze, and the champagne fell from his hand and shattered on the marble like a confession. Wait. Belinda appeared at his elbow with a magazine smile, one hand on his sleeve like a claim. Tom stayed half a step behind me, not hiding, just letting me be first. Ava lifted her chin like she had practiced for this exact moment. "Mama, that's the man from the picture," she said, and it hit me again, the fact that kids find every truth you think you've stored away. "Hello, Sergei," I said, voice steady enough to pass. "Thank you for the invitation. These are my daughters, Ava, Nani, and Naomi." Ava stuck her hand out like a tiny diplomat. He stared at it as if he'd never seen courtesy before, then shook it like his bones remembered something his mind couldn't name. Naomi bounced. "We heard there would be cake." A few nervous laughs cut the air, then died quick. Tom spoke at last, calm and firm. "Tom Hanks, Letitia's husband." The word husband landed like a weight exactly where it needed to land. Pattern interrupt. The room tried to recover, conversations snapped back like rubber bands, but you could feel the attention hanging between crystal and flowers. I leaned toward Sergei. "Garden," I said, "because some rooms aren't built for truth." We stepped into the rose garden that had been my old escape hatch, petals and thorns and honest air. He didn't waste a second. "They look like me." "Do they?" I said, and I let the space stretch because sometimes silence is the sharpest instrument. "Here's the part you never looked at. You called me Barren when what you were really terrified of was being the one who couldn't. You refused tests, you refused humility, you chose pride and called it fact, and you ruined me with a word, because fear is easier to carry when you make someone else hold it." His face cracked in the right places. "I was wrong. You were cruel," I said, and my voice didn't go loud, it went clear. "There is a difference." He swallowed, eyes on the grass like he was reading a prayer there. "Are they mine?" Through the French doors, I could see Tom kneeling to tie Naomi's shoe, the girls tugging his sleeves, their joy like a small weather system around him. "Biologically, yes," I said, and the world tilted a fraction. "But let's be precise. A father isn't a laboratory result. A father is pancakes at 6 a.m., reading the same book for the 17th time, buying backup nightlights because one went out and someone is scared. A father is a verb you do every day." He nodded like someone finally told him what time it was. "I regret everything," he said, voice small for the first time in 15 years. "I just didn't know how to be that small when it mattered." I didn't have a sermon for him. Learn. That's it. Learn. I left him with that, and went to the restroom to press cold water to a face that had just walked through 7 years in 10 minutes. Marble gold trim mirrors that make you examine parts of yourself you'd rather not see. The door opened, heels clicked, and there she was, Belinda, beautiful like a knife. "Well, if it isn't the infamous Letitia Wright," she said. "Hanks." I answered because I am not a shadow of his past anymore. Has been for 4 years. She took one breath like a swimmer before a dive. "I heard the garden chat. You should know. Sergei is infertile." She said it lightly like weather. My body went cold even though I already knew it. Then she pressed a palm to her belly, looked me dead in the eye. And this child is not his. Hold on. She stepped closer, voice down to a whisper that could slice a room in half. If he starts poking at genetics because of those 3 little faces, I will burn your life down to keep mine pretty. I will drag you into court. I will make your husband's business suffer. I will make sure your daughters become headlines. Disappear or bleed. I stared at her for 3 long counts, then lifted my phone and showed her the red bar. Record. She blanched so fast I thought she might faint. Knowledge is power, I said, because I can learn too. And you just gave me all of it. Stick around because what happened next will blow your mind. We left that club, buckled the girls in with shaky hands, drove home without the radio because quiet can be loud when it needs to be. In the study, I told Tom everything. Not just the bathroom, the entire truth I've been dragging like a chain. He didn't look shocked. He looked hurt in that private way good men look when the person they love underestimates them. I figured it out a while ago, he said, eyes steady. What I don't get is why you didn't trust me with the truth. He packed a small bag with deliberate hands. I need a couple days to think. Naomi ran in and saw the suitcase. Are you leaving us like the mean man left Mama? Tom's face broke in the kind of way you don't forget. He knelt, pulled all 3 into his arms. I will always be your daddy, he said, voice thick. Always. Morning came with 3 black sedans and men in dark suits at my door, papers in their hands like weapons with pretty fonts. Emergency petition for genetic testing, temporary custody, immediate visitation. I could taste metal in my mouth. I called Tom. I'm coming, he said before I asked, and 20 minutes later he arrived with his brother James and a lawyer named Sandra, who looked like she doesn't blink. Courts lean toward biological rights, she said, flipping pages with calm hands. But best interest of the child matters. Ages, stability, history with Tom. We fight. Sergei parked across the street in a Mercedes that suddenly looked like the wrong costume. He watched the house like a man outside a church he can't bring himself to enter. Tom walked out to him because that's who Tom is. From the window I could read the body language. Tense but not violent. 2 men trying to stand in the same truth without falling over. Tom came back in and said, He's not trying to hurt us. He's drowning. He thinks our girls are the only raft. If it were you, what would you have done? Slammed the door or tried to stand in messy grace. Family court is fluorescent lights and coffee breath, and a judge who has seen too much to be impressed by anyone's suit. Belinda didn't show. Of course she didn't. Sandra laid out the recording facts in a line, no theatrics. The judge listened to Belinda's voice threaten to weaponize biology and ruin children to protect a lie. The room went quiet in that heavy way that means something just shifted. Emergency petition dismissed pending investigation, Judge Chen said, firm and final. Sergei's lawyers looked at him like he set their boat on fire. In the hallway, he stopped me. I didn't know, he said, voice hollow. About her, about the threats, about anything, apparently. I believed him not because I wanted to, because shame has a shape. You knew enough to destroy me. I answered, then surprised myself by adding, but I don't think you'd hurt a child. He looked past me to where Tom stood, not possessive, just present. He's a good man, Sergei said. The best, I said, because truth doesn't disappear because it's awkward. Here's the twist under the twist. DNA almost wrecked us, but it also forced the truth into daylight. If Belinda hadn't tried to make blood a weapon, we might have kept bleeding quietly in the dark. The recording didn't just save us in court. It made me stop hiding inside my own marriage. Tom didn't punish me with volume, he set boundaries with love. I choose you, he said later softer, but I need honesty if I'm going to keep choosing you tomorrow. Do you think that's fair? We walked down the courthouse steps into September light that felt like a clean page. James brought the girls, and Naomi launched herself into Tom's arms like the world had turned back on. Daddy, the mean lawyers went away, she said, hair in his mouth, joy on his face. Ava looked at Sergei with scientific curiosity. You're the man from Mama's picture, she announced. He didn't flinch. He knelt expensive suit against warm concrete and said, I am. Are you still making her sad? She asked, pure and direct. He swallowed hard. I'm trying very hard not to. Sergei asked quietly if he could send birthday cards. Nothing to confuse, nothing to crowd, just acknowledgement. Tom met my eyes, and we had one of those married conversations without words. That's fine, Tom said, careful. But understand, I'm their father. Sergei nodded like that sentence was the first mercy he'd been offered in a long time. Weeks later, a plain envelope arrived with 3 hand-drawn cupcakes inside. Happy birthday, Ava. Happy birthday, Nani. Happy birthday, Naomi. No demands, no signatures made to impress. I set it on the mantel because grace should be visible and boring. At bedtime, Naomi always asks for the same line. Say the forever part. Tom tucks her in, rubs that little line between her eyebrows that shows up when she's thinking too hard, and says it the way he said it the first time on those courthouse steps. Forever, sweetheart. You're safe forever. I believed it enough to sleep. So let me ask you, if you were me, would you have walked into that baby shower or walked away for the sake of peace? Would you have told the truth sooner and risked everything, or held it like I did until the day it held me? Should biology guarantee access when a child's whole sense of fatherhood lives in the man who flips pancakes and checks nightlights? Is a recording fair when threats are real, or is that crossing a line you don't cross? You know what I mean. Stick around, because I keep telling these stories from the messy middle, where the easy answer isn't the right one, where love is a decision you make on Tuesday afternoon when everyone is tired. If this one hit a nerve, tell me where and why. If you disagree, say so. I can take it. Drop a comment with what you would have done, whether the court got it right, whether fatherhood is blood or breakfast. And if you've lived anything like this, share it. Hit subscribe if you want more true-feeling stories told plain, and send this to someone who still thinks a last name makes a family. I'll be in the comments listening.